person that enjoys history, that was your forward recall for me. I'm Anthony Payton. I happen to serve as chairman of Ubuntu Collaborative, and today we have some very special guests that we want to chop it up with here. Why don't you all begin by introducing yourselves?
Hello, everybody. My name is Dave Shadburne. I'm the president and CEO of Midwest America Federal Credit Union.
Hi, my name is Tamesha Fikes, and I'm a branch manager and mortgage specialist for Midwest America Federal Credit Union.
Good morning. I'm Ken Christmon, pastor of Turner Chapel, African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Purdue, Fort Wayne.
We had a meeting probably, 3 weeks ago that was very enlightening, and that prompted this particular conversation on today. And I want to begin with just with you sharing, David, how you ended up in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Glad to share that. So I've been in Fort Wayne for almost 9 months now. So I'm a transplant from Louisville, Kentucky. I'm happy to be here, excited to be here, be part of this community. So my wife and I moved here. My wife of 34 years, her name is Cindy, and we've raised 3 sons. So my oldest son is down in Nashville, Tennessee. He's 31. I've got a younger son. He's 25, still in Kentucky. And then my middle son that I skipped over, as you know, I lost him 7 years ago to a rare form of cancer. So anybody who's gone through something like that, you know that can take you to some dark places. That can really, affect relationships, affect a lot of things in your life. About a year after my son Christian passed, at the age of 22, my wife and I decided to take this negative energy we had and really try to turn it around to something positive. We had talked about adoption about a decade earlier. And at this point in our lives, it was a time to really go forward with that. So there was a phone call we got on a Wednesday saying there is a 3-day-old baby girl who needed parents. She was out in Phoenix, Arizona. That's all we knew. So after prayer, conversation, we decided, yes, we were up for this task. Unbeknownst to us at that time, this little girl, who we named Amanda Faith after my grandmother and my mom, was African American. So that really changed, some perspectives for us. We also thought that it wasn't going to be a good environment just to have one African American child raised in a white family. So we purposed in our heart after prayer that we would also adopt other African American females. So it came a little bit sooner than we anticipated, but 13 months later, we got another phone call from that same friend saying there were twins in Indianapolis, Indiana, that needed a family. So we got on the phone, we talked with the biological mother, grandmother, godmother, and there was a connection there. So we adopted those twins, Eva and Ava. And Eva was actually my mother's name as well. So that was what the biological mother requested, to keep those names. So it felt like that God placed this blessing upon us, and they truly have been a blessing. So now, at 59 years of age, I have 3 kindergartners in the school system. So it's really changed my perspective, not only from raising boys to girls, from having a 31-year-old and a 25-year-old to kindergartners, but it also changed my perspective a whole lot about the issues that our community is facing, not only here, but throughout this nation.
I thank you for sharing that. I remember when we were in your office and you shared that, and everybody with us was moved by that story because it came from the heart. It wasn't something that you were, you were holding up as, look at me. It was something sincere. You came here to work, I think it's the 7th largest?
17th.
17th largest credit union in the
state of Indiana.
In the state of Indiana.
Yes, sir.
What was the culture like? How was it defining the we?
There was some work that needed to be done. Coming from a credit union in Louisville, Kentucky, we were a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution. I led that effort. And a CDFI really is an intentional, impactful organization that looks to make changes in challenging areas, that looks to partner with organizations in the community. Midwest America is a great credit union, financially strong. And a credit union itself is different from other sorts of financial institutions. We should be mission-driven. You know, we look out for our members who are our owners. So we're not really profit-driven. We're a not-for-profit financial cooperative. But there was work to be done on the culture. That work included such things as the typical things like collaboration and communication. But it was also a redefining of who we are, what our mission was, what our mission should be, our vision, and that is to create impact and opportunities in all areas of our community. And it's also important to do that outreach into the community, to learn from our communities and understand that all communities are not the same. You know, we can talk about some statistics, and we know the statistics. I brought it up here with me so I wouldn't forget them. You know, according to the Federal Reserve, 59% of black households are fully banked compared to 89% of Asian households, 88% of white households, 70% of Hispanic households. We can look at per capita income, that the wealth of a white family is approximately $338,000. The black wealth is almost zero. The black population comprises 2% of national wealth, but 12% of the population. Home ownership rates for the white family is 75%, for the black family 48%. There are issues, there are problems that we need to be made aware of that we need to keep foremost in our mind.
Thank you, thank you. Tamesha, you were there when David arrived. How would you describe the culture then versus now?
So for me, I would say before Dave arrived, I remember I've always been a community advocate, always looking to find something to do in the community, how I can tie the work that I do in finance with the community. And so I remember coming to Midwest in the heat of COVID. So September 2020, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's because of COVID, we're not doing much. COVID went away, and I started asking questions like, hey, where's our community outreach? Where's our financial literacy? How do I get involved? And everyone's looking at me with a blank stare. And I'll never forget, I had a conversation with my staff. We had received an email that Midwest had just become the box office sponsor for the Coliseum, and they were all excited. And I'm like, why are you guys excited? The amount of money that we just used on the box office that just shows our name. People are going to buy tickets regardless of whose name's on that box office. Where's the impact to the community? How are we using those dollars to invest into other people? And so for me, that's kind of where I went on a journey. I was like, we've got to find a better way. There's got to be a better way. And I would say since Dave has arrived, we're slowly finding that way. We have made some great initiatives in reaching out to organizations and finding out what the needs of the community are. And I think that's the first step, is we don't have all the answers. And that's why we've been partnering with other community organizations to find out exactly what the needs are, because we don't know. We're going to the experts to find out what the need is and how we can help. And so I think for me, that's been one of the greatest aspects of Dave being here, is being involved in that and trying to help find out what the needs of our community really are.
Just digressing for a moment, because I don't want to give the wrong picture here. The board itself, which attracted you to Fort Wayne and Midwest, was very diverse. It is very diverse.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I guess one of the disappointments when I had is that diversity really stopped at the board. So we really need to look at all areas of our organization, top to bottom, and make sure we have that diversity, that environment that is welcoming to all, where opportunities are being created internally. And we have work to do, still do today.
Yeah.
But the starting point is the realization that there's work to be done.
Ken, coming from where you come from and the professional seat that you sit in, when you hear this conversation, when you hear the heart and the passion of the CEO and someone that's been in the trenches when he got here, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, a lot of organizations, I keep hearing that word "we," and the gift of inclusion. And inclusion requires transformation of heart, and I think that's run throughout. And a lot of organizations lack cohesion, not because of who's there, but who's not there, and the ability to make money. And so organizations have to not only be deliberate to be inclusive, but there has to be a transformation of heart, and to see who's there and who's not there, and then begin to build from there. And I think that a lot of times we deal with fear, but Dave has already told you, he went, he prayed, they thought, and they made a commitment, the name took on your mother's name. You built a legacy. And I think we have to be conscious every day of what we're doing and what we're leaving for the group that comes tomorrow.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that moved myself and Eric when we were meeting with Dave and Tanisha, is that there was a legitimate intentionality. It wasn't coming from a place of just business. It was coming from a place of the heart, you know. And I think that that's the caveat that sometimes we miss. We make decisions culturally within companies because it is, quote unquote, the right thing to do. And then when the energy begins to subside, you know, we kind of go back to where we were, as Eric said in his opening. But this coming from the heart, it perpetuates itself. Even when energy or other things socially are subsiding, it is doing that. And that's what you were referring to earlier, Tanisha. Mm-hmm. So, one of the things after that great meeting, and it was like a Steve Jobs, I got one more thing moment. Eric and I was preparing to leave. And you showed us this amazing partnership with Ubuntu. Ubuntu Collaborative is an organization started by a group of pastors, African-American pastors in the city. Some of you probably are aware, you heard about the concert that we had here at the Clyde, and there's other things that are going on that we've been able to do and developing partnerships. The number of African-American pastors that are part of that are here. Others who are dual career could not be here this morning. And so we have been developing 7 pillars, and one of those pillars is economic empowerment. And we use that term very intentional because we view it as different than economic development. Economic empowerment goes back to building buildings and restaurants and access. While that is needed, what you alluded to in the statistics is a need for economic empowerment.
Yes.
Would you lean into that for a moment?
Yeah, I think there has to be intentionality,
Yeah.
right? We have to understand where the risks are. We have to understand what the challenges are and be willing to have that intentionality, no matter what the politics may be, to take that extra step.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And so we have come, or you brought us into your office.
I did. We did.
And had that Steve Jobs moment. And you said, what it would look like if Ubuntu and Midwest collaborated in a particular way, and then you begin to elaborate in other ways. But today we're going to talk about just the one way that you showed. Is that on the screen? Yeah.
So we talked earlier about intentionality of building relationships and partnerships. You know, Tamesha used the word, we don't have all the answers. Well, I'll be honest, we don't even have all the questions, right? So it's important for us to build these relationships, to understand each other, to continue to learn. So we were very interested in Ubuntu. Now, why were we interested? Let me just read it. This is actually quoting you. As we embark on a journey of collaboration, it is our aim to model unity, love, and compassion to the community. We believe that working together, along with Mary Henry, we can become a catalyst for positive change, leaving a lasting legacy of transformed lives and thriving neighborhoods.
Did I say that?
You said that. The article said you said that, so I believe you did.
That sounds pretty good.
You look so impressed over there.
Now, who would not want to be part of that? You know, Ubuntu, I am because we are. Another definition, humanity. We wanted to be part of that, to learn, to make sure that we're doing what a credit union should be doing, to make sure we're picking up the mantle, walking side by side to address these issues. You know, we talked about DEI and B multiple times today. That's critical. We've started that journey internally. You know, coming from a community in Louisville, Kentucky, which is one of the most segregated cities, you know, we had the murder of Breonna Taylor.
Yes.
We saw a lot of organizations jump on the bandwagon. But then when politics got in the way,
Yes.
we saw people backing off of that bandwagon.
Yeah.
We are unapologetically on this journey. We want to be on this journey. We encourage others to be on this journey, regardless of what the politics say. We have work to do as a community, and humanity drives us to this.
If I was in church right now, I'd say, amen, brother. You know, one of the unique things about this card is it allows us to do one of the things that we think is important within all communities, but particularly within the African American community, is help with economic empowerment. Members that will get a membership at the credit union will also have the opportunity to receive those financial programs that Ubuntu will offer, where they will eventually position themselves for home ownership. And my dream, as you alluded to in our meeting, is that we will find a way that we will provide services within the community where we won't have payday, what you call them?
Payday lenders.
Payday lenders.
300%.
300%. Where they never are able to pay it back. And what if we could have a place where the churches was interviewing and processing and training financial literacy classes and having those things there and helping members to understand how to handle the money, and rather than going there, they come to the church, and we were able to provide that for them in those crunch moments.
Absolutely.
That is something you talked about.
Right, and this card is a way to get the word out about this collaborative, what we're trying to accomplish, and also to provide financial supports for this vision as well.
I don't think, I've been here 30, 35, 36 years. Well, I've been married 30, so I've been almost 40 years. And I don't know of any organization in our community that has had this kind of collaboration. Can we just lean into that for a moment and just thank Midwest for that initiative? We have plans that also to coincide with that particular pillar, where we are preparing with another company, shall be named later, to help them fill some vacancies in their need for employees and get them trained. And this is a part of that whole continuum that we're trying to make a difference within our community here. Anything else that you all would like to add? I know we're kind of running out of time. I got a Baptist preacher moment. And you got to realize, I'm the one that was in Tennessee. I finished speaking in Tennessee about 10 o'clock last night. Got in the car with my driver, my assistant pastor. He drove me back to Fort Wayne to be here for this. This is exciting. So anybody else? I'll take the mic from here if you don't.
Well, I just wanted to say that transformation comes with intention. You intended to do well. You intended to continue to be the leader in this community, and then you did something different. And so I want to applaud you, and I want to say to all of us, we have to be intentional. We can't just talk about it. We can't just think about it and then go back and say, well, we can't do anything about it. We have the power. We have the ability, and thank you for the gift of transformation in our community.
I agree. Tamesha, you want you to give us the last word?
Thanks for putting me on the spot. But I would just allude to what our guest speaker spoke about earlier. He said, you know, we had a lot of people at the beginning of this movement who said, yes, we're in, but they didn't make a full commitment. And I think it takes full commitment as a community for all of us to make change. It's not just one entity, but it's all of us. We are the we that he was discussing.
Yes.
The we is in this room. And so I think going forward, we have to be very intentional about the things that we're doing to move our community ahead.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much.